Right. The previous we are discussing about that data types and different type of data types and how to execute the program and what type of keywords involved in that program. So starting that program. So what we will using in that program. The first line you should be mentioning that class and class name and what type of what is the protection in you have to assigning that particular class. So that this much of definitions and this much of usages you have to discussing in yesterday onwards. Yes. Um, right. So and today onwards, our topic is that user-defined data types. And previous we are discussing about the two type of data types. You are already discussed. What is that? What type of data types you have to discuss in yesterday or before? What type of data types you have to discuss in
Primitive data type, non-primitive data type.
um, in that you don't use in that way actually. Primitive data type.
Non-primitive.
Yes, non-primitive data type. And today, user-defined data types. Okay, so this type of user-defined data types actually, those that the user programs himself to have to define in that particular data type. So actually, predefined data types and non-predefined data types. Actually, that is the pre data types, and in the sense predefined data types in the sense, for example, whenever you installing that Java programming or Java software, then automatically that data types also it can be installed. So predefined. So that's why we are calling that predefined data types. And here user defined data types. User defined data types in the sense user is the defined. For example, when you write the class, so that class is user defined. Class name is you have to define that. For example, int a. So that in that between that int and what is that, a is the variable, but you have to define that variable is a. That is the user defined variables. Okay, so whenever you using that a or not only a and b and c, so for example you have to using word equal to 10. So word in the sense that is the one type of
Variable.
what is that, variable.
Variable.
That is the one type of variable. So that variable is a you have to define, user is the define that variable name. So that is not a predefined variable. So that is the user defined variable. Okay, so that is the thing actually. The here what is that and another one is that built-in data types. Built-in data types is a predefined data types. That is a integer, character, and byte, short, long, float, double, and boolean. So these are all the built-in data types in Java. Okay, so in special character is there. That is the special character is that enum. Enum data type. Right. enum enum's data type. So this is the one type of enumerations. Enumeration is the short form of enum. Okay, enumeration in the sense, what is the meaning of enumeration? Enumerical and next huh? Enumerator. What is the meaning of, how can you understand that enumeration? Enumeration in the sense that is selection. Enumeration in the sense selection. For example, you are to assigning that and some of the serial numbers is there. So which selection you have to select? That is the enumeration. Okay. So in that purpose, you have to using this enum. Okay. So here an enum is a the special class. Enum is a one type of special class, and that represents the group of constants. That is a group of constants. Whenever you assigning that group of constants unchangeable variables purpose, you have to using that enums. Okay, unchangeable variable, like a final variables. So whenever you assigning that variable, that is the final. No need to change. In that purpose only you have to assigning that enum. It is clear? Yes. So once again I have to repeat that one. So an enum is the special class. That is a special class. So that presents the group of constants. Constants in the sense,
not change.
yes, the
Have
constant is the, that is the
the
fixed. That is the fixed. That is
constant
the meaning of that
numbers
constant in the, whenever you as using that enum in front of
fixed.
that variable, that variable is the fixed, unchangeable variable. So in that purpose only you have to using that enum. So that's why enum is the special selection. Enum is that meaning of the special selection, that enumeration. Okay. So here, for example, I have to give the one example. One example, and one thing, that to create the enumeration, use the enum keyword, the instant of the class or interfaces. Instead of that class, that purpose is that interfacing purpose, you have to using that enum keyword. Interfacing purpose in the sense, the lot of variables you have to using in that particular class, but the specific identification or the specific selection purpose you have to using that particular enum. Okay, the separate the constants with a comma. That separation purpose you have to using that constants of that comma. Okay, so that is the, that should be it can be using, that should be uppercase letters only. If you want to use that enum, that whenever you assigning that enum keyword or specific that class, that variables, you should be upper cases in the sense, capital letters. Upper cases in the sense, capital letters. For example, the here I have to give the one example. I have to write here, for example, public class and main. Okay, let's start the bracket, and here you have to use enum special, what is this special keyword? Very good. The special keyword, and that variable is that level. Variable is that level, and body it can be start. So whenever you start that enum special class, or whenever enum special class, whenever you assigning that enum keyword, then that class name is that special class. Okay, so in that case, whenever you start that special class, it should be that values should be, what type of values we have to assign?
Capital
Constant and
constant.
capital letters. Okay, so that's why here you have to mention low and comma, medium, comma, high. Okay, and close the bracket. And here you have to start the functionality. This is the only, special classes, enum special classes. Okay, so here you have to write on that public and static void main string, no, array. Okay, organ array. Array, and start the bracket, and here you have to mention class name, level.
Bracket.
What is
But
that?
actually, this public static void main
Hmm.
second line.
Second line, of course, but you are, whenever you start the class, just you have to using that enum. That is the special that is the condition of that class. That's why you have to using in that in the second line, or that is not a second line actually, that is the single line, but understanding purpose you have to using in line by line. Okay, the public class main, then you have to assigning that this is not a public class, this is not a private class and product class, this is the one specific class, that is the enum class. When you start that enum class, then you have to using that specific characters, that is the capital letters. So what type of letters you have, what type of variables you have to assigning in that particular variable, or what type of values you have to assigning in that particular variables, only you have to just you have to mention. So next, you have to mentioning that public static void. That is the second line actually. The first line is that public class, and second line is that public static void main. Okay, and now here, so that variable it can be converted into one usage purpose. You have to convert it that variable. Okay, here level is that level is a what is the name of that level? Class name or enum name. So what
Class name.
is the one type of variable, not a class name.
Enum names.
Level is a one type of variable. Okay, so that variable, in front of that variable you have to assigning that specific enum. Okay, so that selection purpose you have to assigning that enum keyword. It is clear? Yes. So now we have to start
Yeah,
that
sir.
level, and that value is the my where equal to let us I have to explain that when I'm what is that, write this program on my where and level dot medium. Okay, so here the output system dot out dot println and star bracket my
Function calling అన్ని అదే సార్
Mhm. Here
calling function
yes, just you see here, here this is the public static void main. Already yesterday we are all discussing that public static void main, so why we are mentioning in this line. Okay, so and second one, in the body it can be started, so here you have to mention level. So this level, whenever you're calling this level, then automatically it can be responded that enum. Okay, so here that enum it can be represented that my where in the sense my where in the sense
Where means syntax. Syntax, sir.
my where is the syntax actually. That syntax, what is that syntax actually?
మనం న్యూగా నేమ్ ఇస్తాం
Hmm? Here one condition is there. For example, level my where equal to okay level dot medium. This is the actually syntax,
enumeration
enumeration syntax. This is the condition actually, syntax in the sense when you're mentioning that level, then automatically it can be responding that my where equal to level dot medium. So dot why here you have to using that dot in the sense that is a object purpose. You have to mentioning that dot. When you're mentioning this dot, then automatically that class it can be represented that object. Okay, so that is the one specific identification is involved in that particular syntax. So that's why, so for example here, don't mind that actually, then in future you have to explaining that the object purpose, why you are using this type of dot and these are all things. But here whenever you're using this so definitely you have to using that what is the condition actually, comma. Yes, and it separated the constants with a comma. So
Yes, sir.
that's why this is the constants actually. Low, medium, high is the constants actually. This constants differentiation purpose or separation purpose, you have to using this comma. Is it right? So
Yes, sir.
in definition, you have to discussing about that or explanation. So in that way, you have to using in the whenever you're mentioning this enum keyword, special keyword, then you have to using this level of that variable. So whenever you that level of variable values is that, or that what that constants, that variable constants is that low and medium and high. So in that separation purpose, you have to using this comma. It is clear? Yes. So here, whenever you represent that level, then that level actually, whenever you're using this level, then automatically it can be responded mywhere. Mywhere value is what is that mywhere as a following that syntax level dot medium, level dot medium. So here the output, you have to call that output. What you call that output in the sense mywhere. Whenever you're calling that mywhere, then automatically it can be
Print medium.
Level medium.
yes, medium is the object actually. Medium is the object. So that medium is the object. That object where it in that object you have to mentioning there one special yeah, one special character, that is the enum character. That is the enum character. That enum, it can be represent a, what it can be represented, that enum level. See, just you don't confuse that one. Actually, here, indirectly, you have to calling the one particular constants. You are not directly calling that constants. Indirectly, you have to calling that constant. So why you are calling that indirectly? Why అంత కష్టపడాల్సినటువంటి అవసరం ఎందుకు వచ్చింది? The directly you have to calling that variable. Why you are indirectly calling that value in the sense, in some of the classes it can be, for example, in the one program you have to establish in different type of classes, and one parent only is there, and different type of classes also is there. You are developed in ninth class, you have to write on the one program. So that ninth class, it cannot be calling to directly that values into the parent. ఏది వచ్చిందా? రమ్మనండి, పర్లేదు రమ్మనండి, ఇవాళ ఫస్ట్ క్లాస్ కదా. One moment.
ఏం లేదు.
Right.
వస్తా సార్ మండే నుంచి, ఇంకా ఊర్లోనే ఉన్నా.
Yes, okay. Don't confuse here. Let us explaining that enums. The enums here, you have to indirectly you have to calling that variables or that constants. Why? Because you are indirectly calling that constants in the sense, in some of the classes it can be indirectly created. So that subclass, it cannot be calling indirectly that parent variables. Okay, in that time, just you have to using the enums, and that using in the enums actually. So in that actually in that parent class, it can be using a lot of variable values they have to be mentioning in that purpose. Okay, but here that subclass, it can be using only, and some of the values only they have to be using. For example, here the low and medium and high, and these are all things actually utilization of in that parent class actually. But you have to utilization of just you have to need in only medium constants only you have to using. So in that particular purpose, you have to using that enum in that subclass. Okay, no, actually in this class, it is not to it is no need to using in the low and high. So only you have to using only medium. In that purpose, you have to mentioning that syntax. Okay, what is that? Enum. So here you have to mentioning this public class, the specific special class, though. So that specific special class, it can be having a constants and different type of constants. That different type of constants here, why we are not assigning that only medium constant, and why we are mentioning this type of low and medium and high, because of these type of classes, it can be utilization of in that parent class only. And that's why whenever you using that parent class variables or constants, here also you have to mention in each and everything, but in particularly one thing only you have to call. Okay, so which time you have to utilization of that particular thing or that particular constants only you have to call that medium. If you want to utilization of that low, then you have to utilization of that low. In that time, just you have to maintaining that syntax. What is that syntax in the sense? For example, level myvar equal to level dot low. When you recall that level, whenever you call that level, then automatically that low is the response. Okay, so other constants it is not responding. Okay, so why we are mentioning in this actually here, some of the functions of one function, let us explain that 12 dot 34 and divided by and 78 plus 32, oh sorry, 34 plus 56. Okay, and here 23 divided by 45. So here one function is there. For example, the understanding purpose I have to given this type of function. For example, like a one program is there, but here this is the parent class. Okay, this is the parent class. Actually, you have to create one subclass. In that subclass purpose, you have to create it and some of the functionality also is there. What is that? For example, here you have to mention, sorry, 45 is there. Okay, so here this class functioning purpose, no need to calculate 12 into 34. Why? Because in previous parent class, it can be function is there. That value also is there in that functioning purpose. Here, in this functioning purpose already you have to calculate it 12 into 34. Okay, so in this class, this is the 9th or 15th or 28th class is there. Okay, so in the 28th class, in some calculation or some function, it can be need. So that calculation purpose, no need to calculate in 12 into 34. So here I have to given in some much of calculation and a little much of calculation only I have to mention here. And in that class programming, in writing and 22 and 70 lines, you have to write on that program. Okay, so in that output only, you have to need in that particular created a that in that class only. It is clear? It is clear? Yes. So in that class, it can be having in some of the functions is involved in that particular class creation, but that class creation, no need to create it and functionality and previous functionality, no need to create it and new classes. And what you have to functioning in previous classes in that parent class or in previous second class, you have to establish in that particular functionality, or 50th class you have to functioning or calculated in that particular value is there already, no need to create it. And here only, why? Because that much of functionality purpose, it can be utilization of more memory. That memory decreasing purpose, that functionality time decreasing purpose, you have to You have to sustain, or you have to decrease the time, and you have to decrease the and memory also in that much of retrieving that value. From that retrieving the value, for example, here just you see this one, if you want to again you have to create function here 12 into 34, already you have to calculate it in 12 into 34, but here also you have to assigning the 12 into 34, again you have to calculate it. In that much of calculation purpose, it can be utilization of memory. Okay, again it can be assigning that memory this much of calculation purpose, and calculation purpose also in some much of time you have to assign. So that decreasing purpose, what you have to do, what it can be done in that in this particular functioning purpose, it can be retrieved from that parent class. It can be retrieve the value 12 into 34, that value it can be retrieved from the parent class, then automatically here the no need to functioning. Automatically whenever it is identified 12 into 34, automatically it can be retrieved from the parent class, that value. So in that type of functionality, or in that type of retrieving, so what why that functionality it can be done in that type of functionality, why it is that retrieving from the parent class in that much of value?
Faster.
Fast execution, and
No need to calculate again and storage.
exactly, very good. So why? Because and each and every, so in users, so they have to be interested. What type of interested? For example, if you want to get the one application, so how can you identify? So for example, in Google, what is that? Google Store is it's there. That Google Store, you have to require that installation of that. What is that? GPay, Google Pay, or Phone Pay is there. What type of application you have to interested, what type of application, in the sense some of the requirements that users they have to be interested to install that applications. So what is that minimum memory it can be allocated? So and each and every functionality will be there in that app, but is the minimum of memory, so which memory it can be decreases in for that installation. So that much of memory it can be occupied, how much of memory it can be occupied for that installation. Why? Because your phone memory, entire that phone memory, it can be waste for that installation, apps installation, that purpose. That's why that user they have to be interested to what is that, and some much of memory, what type of applications it can be there, that much of applications it can be installed in your phones. So in that way, each and every program also they have to be what is that, decreasing the memory and fast execution. This is the very most important when you write the program. When you write the program, you have to calculate how much of time it can be it can be what is that, it can be calculated for that execution. So and how much of memory that program utilization purpose, how much of memory it can be there, or it can be allotted. So that much of information it is the must and should for the write the program. Okay, so for example, in calculation purpose also, for example, they have to be given the one answer. What is that? I want output in 45. So in that 45 output purpose, you have to calculate what type of calculation. 40 plus 40 plus 5 equal to 45. Okay, that is a simple